All right. Hey, y'all, coming to you from Asheville, North Carolina, this is GovLove, a podcast about love of government brought to you by engaging local government leaders. I'm Rafael Baptista, Buncombe County Strategy Director and GovLove co-host. We have a great episode for you today. We are talking about the state of ELGL. But first, the best way to support GovLove is to become an ELGL member. ELGL is a professional association engaging the brightest minds in local government. Now let me introduce today's guest. Maggie Jones is the new board chair for ELGL and previously served as vice chair from 2021 to 2023. She's joined the Tarrant County, Texas team in 2016 as Assistant Director of Community Development, where she works closely with development teams, community partners, and other local governments to promote affordable housing, public infrastructure, homelessness prevention efforts, and other fun grant-eligible activities. Welcome to GovLove, Maggie. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much. It's so good to be here.
Awesome. So our little tradition here is to do a little lightning round to get to know you a little better. So first question is, what book are you reading right now?
Ooh, I'm reading two. So I finally jumped on the Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow train. That's written by Gabriel Zevin, and also reading a psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers.
Oh, sounds good. And what was the first album that you ever bought?
With my own money?
I guess so.
I think it was Stain's Break the Cycle back in 2001.
Nice. And what was the last movie or TV show that you watched?
Oh, it was Just Go With It with Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler.
Nice. And when you need some inspiration, where do you go?
Oh, that's easy. Outside. Always outside.
It's not too hot and musky in Texas to go outside?
No, not at all. In fact, it's been very cool. And it's anything below 80 is totally fine.
All right. Well, we're here today, Maggie, to talk about kind of the state of ELGL since you're in the new board chair. But before we talk about ELGL, I want to talk a little bit about get to know you a little bit and let our audience get to know you. So could you talk about the fact that you went straight from an undergraduate to an MPA program, which not everyone does? What attracted you in MPA? What made you do that?
I did. So I knew I wanted to go to graduate school, and I also knew that if I waited, there was a good chance I might not come back, right? So my undergrad was in political science. I did have a love for public service. And I also knew that I wanted a type of graduate program that integrated with life in the real world. And that's where Texas Tech's program came in. So the MPA program, which was at the time led by Brian Collins, who is now at UNT, and then later by Susan Opp, who's now at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, both amazing human beings, by the way. So that program is built for those who worked full-time in the field. So while I was pursuing my MPA, I also worked full-time at the Lubbock Economic Development Alliance, which meant I could apply what I was learning in the classroom directly to the workspace and vice versa. And I look back on my time at Texas Tech and at LEDA as the solid foundation for my career now.
So you've definitely kind of made a niche or a career in community development after your MPA. So what drove you to do community development and not, the flashy world of economic development?
By accident, which I laugh because that's the ongoing joke, right? How we always get here. But in all seriousness, I fell into community development through economic development. So the two fields are very closely related and they often overlap, right? So after graduating with my MPA, I took a job at the city of Fort Worth in their economic development department, who is at the time led by Robert Stearns, who's still there today, one of the best bosses I ever had. And those years were absolutely amazing. So I learned a ton. I got to play with tax increment financing districts and Chapter 380s and tax abatements, all the fun stuff, not to mention a ton of data. And I also learned how everything is connected. So community development and economic development are a part of a giant web. So basically, if you pull on one piece, you likely pull on something else too. So housing, transportation, workforce development, education, infrastructure, skills training, childcare. I could go on all day. So these are all pieces of the puzzle and they're all related. So, for example, a city is going to have a really hard time luring an economic development prospect or retaining a business if their workforce doesn't have affordable housing, quality childcare, or transportation, just to name a few.
Yeah, community development's really important work. I always think economic development's the fun stuff, community development's the hard stuff, right?
I guess so. You need them both.
You do. I do hear the meals are a little better in economic development, just from my
Oh,
experience.
that's true. I'm going to come over to your neck of the woods next time.
So you're going down this path in the community development world, making a difference there. But somewhere along the way, you found out about ELGL and joined ELGL. So I'm always curious, as one of the first people to have joined ELGL, kind of how other people fell into it.
By accident, I'm noticing another trend. So I first learned about ELGL through the National Association for County, Community, and Economic Development, or NACED, because ELGL co-presented at a conference in a really fun, upbeat way. And I knew from that moment that the organization was different and carried an energy that I hadn't experienced in public service before, right?
Yeah.
So, and I met the organization again in 2019 through the Bloomberg Harvard Initiative. And I'm so glad I did because I knew that I wasn't alone, that there are local government professionals that adore their jobs and really care about the work that they do and the impact they have in their communities. And I have met so many dear colleagues and friends through ELGL, and I wouldn't want to imagine what my world might look like without them.
It would be a pretty sad world, right?
It'd be such a sad world.
All right. So I would say probably a good amount of our listeners know a thing or two about ELGL, and a good amount know near to nothing about it. So for those who don't really know ELGL, can you tell us about what ELGL is and what it stands for? Like why do we exist?
Absolutely. So, engaging local government leaders, or ELGL, is an accidental professional organization. So, again, with the accidental trend, right, that started in Portland, Oregon back in 2012 with a small group of local government professionals that got together over dinner. And I love this because how many times have we gotten together with dear friends or coworkers just to talk shop? And now we have thousands of members from all over the country and the world, and we've grown quite a bit. And thinking sort of along the lines of the ELGL, so we have 5 key values. So joy, so encouraging joy in public service and truly creating those authentic connections. Equity, so embracing equity by seeking diverse perspectives, developing leaders from marginalized backgrounds, and promoting a representative public sector. Creativity, so we are all about the innovative ideas and keep them coming. We are always on our toes. We're always continuing to adapt. Connection, so sharing timely, relevant, real, and useful ideas in an inclusive way, so all values are valued and heard. And dependability, we are there when you need us. We also have a national conference that we absolutely love. It is a fantastic opportunity to learn from, connect with, and experience local government on an entirely different level. So yes, we have sessions like your regular conference, but they're not your typical conference sessions. And I can promise you that you'll learn a lot of relevant information to take back to your communities and that you'll make a new friend. Our next conference will be next spring. And y'all, I am excited about this one. We will be in Montgomery County, Maryland for ELGL 24. And I won't spoil it. I'll just tell you that there's more details coming soon.
Well, I'm
But
excited.
Oh yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And before that, we also have a supper club. And our October supper club series is back for the first time since 2020. And these dinners or happy hours or breakfasts or park dates, however you want to do it, totally works. Is an informal way to connect with other local government professionals in your area. And so this year's supper club will take place the week of October 23rd. And in fact, Rafael, we're taking applications now if anyone is interested in hosting one in their town. And more info can be found on the ELGL website. Oh, And before I forget, awards. So, one of the wonderful things about ELGL is how we celebrate our members, and we have different awards throughout the year. And in fact, it's about that time of year, so get ready for some different awards to nominate some of your favorite folks in local gov.
I'll say I love award season because I love just you see so amazing people all over local government doing some really cool work. And as the guy who firmly believes in stealing other people's ideas, it's a great place to steal an idea from.
Absolutely.
So you've alluded to this, right? You've talked about the joy, the upbeatness, the fun of ELGL. Um, can you speak to kind of what makes ELGL a little different, right? What's our secret sauce?
Ooh, I love that. The secret sauce. So I would say that our secret sauce is connection, right? So we are definitely different from any other organization I have ever been a part of, which is really the key reason why ELGL is so special to me. So we are truly those master connectors and innovators and conveners, and we celebrate everyone in local government, right? So it's not just any particular field. It's not all of our finance folks, although we love them dearly. It's not all of the engineers, although we couldn't do this work without them. It's not just city managers. We truly are a big tent organization that's dedicated not only to learning and growing, but also to finding the joy in our careers and making those true connections along the way. And what's really unique and special about that is the field of local government is unlike any other field, right? And so you're developing these relations with folks that truly understand the trials and also the celebrations that you have based on your experiences. And I love that. It's just a deeper connection that you may not find anywhere else.
Yeah, one of the things I also really like, Maggie, is it's very complementary to other memberships, right? Like I work in the
Yes.
strategy space. I have my associations that are a little more expensive, a little more intense, but ELGL is that affordable mechanism for me just to meet people who care about government.
That's exactly right. And it's also been really lovely if you get stuck and you're like, man, I really wish I knew how to solve this problem. And then being able to reach into that ELGL network and find some masterminds that have already solved the problem or can help you do some troubleshooting is just absolutely invaluable.
All right. So you're all in on ELGL. You're a leader in community development, but also, for someone who's an assistant director of community development, you're also someone who I see a lot at Bloomberg events or hear about at Bloomberg events. I don't even get an invite, um, but you get an invite. So just kind of curious, like, what got you involved in the government innovation space, and did ELGL play a role in that?
Absolutely. So we'll say innovation without the title, right? I'm
Yeah.
definitely not a chief innovation officer. We don't even have an innovation department at Tarrant County, but I still get to play. So I think sometimes the term innovation can scare off some organizations, but that doesn't mean you can't do the work or use the methods, right? So we use innovative methods every day in community development and have designed several of our programs based on feedback we got from the cities we serve and the residents that live there. And so we've busted out the Post-its and the Sharpies and done stakeholder interviews and really got down to the root causes of some of the challenges that we were having. And it's sometimes it's the quiet work, right? And that's where we really truly thrive. And so I would say ELGL's innovation session back in 2019 at Durham really solidified my interest in the field because I knew then through those workshops, as I think all of us in the innovation space feel so often, that there's always a better way. And not only that, but we have a responsibility to our residents. And what an amazing space to play in, and what an amazing opportunity to have.
Yeah, and I think that, the ELGL's fun nature just makes it innovation easier, right? It's easy to come
Exactly.
up with better ideas when you're around people who are fun to be around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to try new things, right? And so I've got quotes and photographs. I'm looking up at my wall right now that just has a ton of little nuggets that have come from other friends and colleagues across the country and also from residents, right? And I think it's not innovation, truly, it's not a title, but it's a state of mind. And I think that's something that we can all cultivate in our coworkers and our teams and our organizations, even if you don't have innovation in your title.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, everyone's journey with the LGL is a little unique, right? Um, I still remember those early dinners at the with the dog who smelled really bad. That was
What?
so the funny part was that when the ELGL started, it was dinners at the founder's house, and they had a dog named Michael Jordan who liked to let you smell what he ate.
Oh
Uh,
no.
so it was fun. It was, I still remember that. Like you remember your senses, but I still remember that, right? And I've always thought that people kind of come and go in their relationship with the LGL, right? Some people are very active, sometimes not as active. So for you, between joining ELGL back when you joined and now serving as the chair, what's that journey been like? How did you get more involved with the LGL? What made that decision say, hey, I want to be a leader with the LGL?
Oh, yeah, great question. And thank you. I'm really excited to be here and really excited about where ELGL is today. So the organization has changed a bit since I joined as a member, and then a board member, and then now chair, while still maintaining the soul of the organization. And I think that that's a really good thing because ELGL is so unique, and we're continuing to grow and also growing with intention, right? And so we've put the focus back on our members so that they can continue to learn and to grow with each other and showcase their successes and learnings along the way. And I'm really hoping to continue to grow and foster new relationships that are in alignment with our values as an organization, right? Because folks are looking to ELGL as an example. That is a space where folks are looking, if they're looking about different organizations to collaborate with or learn from or look for a job at. And so I think, and who we partner with matters. And so making sure that that values alignment there is absolutely key. And most recently, we signed an affiliate agreement with ICMA, which is something I'm really proud of. We had a great working session in Austin to work through how we can best support each other as a partner organization in the local government space. So it really has been this incredible journey of, going from fangirl to sitting on the board and then board chair. But I wouldn't have it any other way, right? And this is definitely somewhere where even in other spaces, like even for NACID, I'd be like, hey guys, don't forget about ELGL, by the way. Because again, this is an organization that can serve very complementary with other organizations. And that really sets us apart. And one thing that I'm just so excited about, and I think will set us up for a long-term future.
So, just as someone who's probably watched a little too much West Wing in my days, would you say the state of the union is strong for ELGL?
Absolutely.
All right, so there's probably someone out here listening who is either a brand new ELGL member or they're, your typical member, right? They joined, they read the morning bus, they listen to GovLove, and they're saying, hey, what do I do to maximize my membership, right? How do I get the best bang for the buck, best bang for the time?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give any tips for those folks?
Oh, for sure. And so I think the biggest one would be just to remember, and you named off several of them, Rafael. So you've got the
Yeah.
Morning Buzz and GovLove and others. We mentioned supper clubs earlier. That's a great way to get involved. So if you see an event in your area, definitely take advantage of it. ELGL 24, start planning now. This is a great opportunity to get up to the Washington, D.C. area and the surrounding areas and all of those incredible organizations. And then also other learning opportunities along the way. There's a ton of stuff that gets posted on the website. The newsletter is amazing. Warren puts that together, and he is just such a superstar. Also, the socials, right? Those stay updated with tons of information about events and recent news. And I can't tell you how many connections I have made over the years through these, definitely, particularly through socials. And then I really want to underscore the value in picking up the phone or sending creating a member in email. I know it sounds old school, right? And it's taking away from like LinkedIn or X or Facebook or others. But there is some magic that happens when you pick up the phone and literally phone a friend. It's happened a couple of times, and we've built communities of practice around it, which I think is just fantastic. So sometimes, again, happens by accident, and you won't know until you pick up the phone. And if you prefer snail mail, you can send me an email at maggie@elgl.org with your physical address, and I'll suck you into a fun side project.
Sounds pretty good. It's funny enough, I was actually on a phone call this morning with another ELGL member talking about an ELGL project, and I think we were supposed to talk for like 20 minutes. We ended up talking for quite a bit longer because we actually ended up that person helping me out with a work product problem I was having. So that was really nice, and kind of what I've gotten used to with ELGL. So I didn't include this when we had talked earlier about this, but I feel like we can't not talk about this. City Hall Selfie Day. It happened,
It
a month
did.
and 2 months ago. But as a guy who's not on social media, I didn't actually see the stuff till later when I saw it on our newsletter and all that. Um, what were your favorite stuff on City Hall Selfie Day? That day just brings so much joy to me.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you so much for bringing up City Hall Selfie Day. So I'm a little bit biased, right? So I work for Tarrant County, yes, but I live in the city of Bedford. And city of Bedford, Texas, y'all did it right. I absolutely loved all of the socials. I believe they also won an incredibly well-deserved award, but so much fun and so much creativity. And not just from City of Bedford, but from others too, was just absolutely so fun. And then you had even it wasn't even all local governments that were getting involved, right? It was some other partners and some private organizations, nonprofit organizations, it was just wonderful, and everybody could get involved. And like I said, the creativity was amazing. Lots of costumes, loved the costumes, loved the joy. Everybody looked incredibly happy in all of these pictures. And I just think it completely radiated joy throughout that entire day.
What's funny is when City Hall Selfie Day started, it was just kind of a way to say, hey, local government exists, right? But lately it's become this opportunity for local governments to celebrate their employees.
That's
And it's
right.
pretty fun to see that transition. And I think that speaks so much to what ELGL is, right? Like, I remember, I don't know what your experience was during, the height of COVID, Maggie, when all the lockdowns were occurring, but I remember working in economic development and constantly being on economic development calls about how to save small businesses.
Yep.
But I do remember there was like I don't remember how often we had those ELGL lunch calls or whatever that were like
Hmm.
joy. Like that was like the one piece of joy I got on my work week.
Yes.
Um, so it's great to see that spread also into the City Hall Selfie Day. And I think it speaks to what you're saying. ELGL's supposed to bring the joy in government.
That's right. And the other thing that I loved about City Hall Selfie Day, and I love this part every year, is folks started including other buildings that aren't just City Hall. So you've got pools, you've got parks, you've got libraries, you have, all these random buildings. And I love it because it's so easy to forget how integrated local government is through all of the different services that we use and the tasks that we do every single day. And just to highlight all of the diversity of the different aspects of local government makes my heart happy every single year.
Yeah, I had there was a local government in the area, and I know the folks who work there, and they emailed me 2 or 3 days later, it's like, hey, we we did City Hall Selfie Day. Like we went out, the manager and the assistant manager went out and took pictures of everyone, and we made sure it was a way to get out in the field to talk to folks. We forgot to post them online, but it was really fun, and our employees really appreciated it, and we just wanted to let you know that we did that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Did they ever send you the pictures later?
I think they sent me 1 or 2 pictures
Oh, fair
of
enough.
the team that did the pictures because I knew the people were going around.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch and see. And yeah, so we've talked a little about we got some events coming up, right? We got Supper Club and the conference.
Hmm.
So the conference is always an interesting one, right? Because it's ELGL, so it's not your normal conference.
That's exactly right. Never is.
So, can you talk a little bit about what makes an ELGL conference different from anything else?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I would say some of the things that make it different is often they're very hyper local, right? So we'll have different events afterwards that some of the local teams help us pick out, which is just really lovely and adds that local flair. There have been a couple of others that had tours of other uh, local governments in the area. That's always been fantastic. Also, the ability to take public transportation or to walk around. I think that's always huge and something that's important to us. And then in terms of the sessions, you're going to have an array of stuff. So in the past, we've had different tracks that people could choose from, but you're not wed to any particular track, so you can definitely move around and try new things. We also tried to be incredibly relevant to what's going on in local government at the time. So depending on the different issues that we are seeing that we really, really want to talk about and think others would have a lot to learn from, those are also the opportunities that we make sure we have sessions on. You're going to see teams on these sessions that are from all over the country. So it's not always a panel that's, 3 or 4 people from the same place. Yes, that might be the case, but then you might also have somebody from the West Coast and on the East Coast, and then maybe somebody in Central Time. But it's just really lovely to get all those folks. You'll see people from cities, you'll see people from counties, you'll see people from big towns and small towns. It doesn't matter. And the other thing is we make sure that we have a whole lot of fun. So you are not going to leave this conference going, yeah, I didn't have any fun there. I assure you, you're going to have a blast and definitely meet some new friends.
Was it 2019 in Durham where they had the van? They brought a van. You could go like record stories in the van or
Yes,
something. That
you
was it, right?
absolutely could. It was an absolute blast. 2019 set the tone, folks. It was fantastic. And they worked very closely with the local team on the ground to make sure that everything was just perfectly set up. At one point, I think the event venue was a little bit further away. And the beautiful thing they did was find a buddy and take a lift together. And I loved it. So I rode with a couple of other folks that had been attending the ELGL conference, and we all had a lovely chat on the 5-minute drive. And so I just love that. So those impromptu connections where it's like, yup, you get to go make a new friend. I think that's really helpful because that happens all the time in local government, right? So count it as practice. It's just like when you're visiting with residents or other departments, and this is another opportunity to build those connections.
And I also say I appreciate the fact that my inbox does not get flooded by vendors after ELGL. I feel
That's
like the
right.
ELGL relationship with vendors at a conference is one that my inbox quite appreciates.
Yes, I completely agree with that.
You had told me that maybe there's a special promo code if someone's like, maybe I should become an ELGL member. So we
Today,
decided,
oh, sorry, I was going to say today is a perfect day to sign up. And you haven't signed up for an ELGL membership, this is the perfect time to do it. And our promo code today is, are you ready? It's super hard.
I have a feeling it's gonna be hard. It's ELGL, it's always hard, right?
Always hard. It's GovLove. GovLove, folks. It is GovLove for a discount on your individual membership.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, that's exciting. Hopefully some people can take advantage of that. There's a lot of benefits to being a member. It's also the benefit of supporting a great organization doing some great work. Um, so we've used secret sauce already today, and we've talked a little about we got some big things coming up. And I know you're not going to tell us everything, but as folks are kind of on the lookout for what's next for ELGL, what should they be looking out for?
Ooh, part of that is a secret. I will tell you, we're definitely shifting to more of a member-driven organization. So we really want to highlight you, the members. If you're interested in writing for Morning Buzz, we want to hear about it. If you're interested in being a participant on a committee, we want to hear about it. If you have a perfect GovLove guest, we want to hear about it. So this is definitely a space where we really want to encourage the members to share with each other, to learn from each other, to connect with each other. The other thing things I would just say, we have the supper clubs that are coming up later this month, which we're so excited about. Again, these are the first ones since 2020, so it'll be a wonderful time to catch up with the folks in your area. And then I also think get ready for ELGL 24, and then we'll also have some awards later this holiday season. So we've got a lot coming up, and be sure, if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, to make sure that you do that, and then continue to check our website for more updates.
It's crazy to think of where ELGL was, 10 years ago, 13 years ago when this all started and where we are now. From a little place in Portland, Oregon to you're in Texas, I'm in North Carolina, talking about a national organization. It's quite the journey, right?
And it's the best part. I tell you what, I just cannot underscore that enough. I can think of a couple of different projects where I had reached out to a friend of mine in Chattanooga, Tennessee, or another one in Montgomery County, Maryland, just to say, help me with this thing. And, that's just what's been so lovely, is that you can continue to develop those relationships and problem solve. And the good thing about 2020 was we all got better at Zoom, right? And so now we have no excuse not to connect with each other. And so what a wonderful venue to be able to do that.
Yeah, we did. That was one thing that came out of there, right? Well, some of us got a little better at Zoom. Some of us.
Some of us. That's exactly right.
So as we start kind of wrapping up our time today, I was just wondering, is there anything else you want to talk about, or anything our listeners should know about you or the work you're doing?
I would say just that how wonderful it is to be in the community development space right now, and also be nice to all of your folks working with federal funding. There's been a ton of it, and we're helping you navigate that. I think also just to remember to use your partners, connect with different local government colleagues, connect with different organizations, and always continue to ask questions and keep up that curiosity. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we solve the tricky questions and challenges that we learn from our residents. So just to stay curious, I guess, would be.
I like that. Stay curious. I always talk about that when I talk about innovation.
Oh, absolutely. That's how we're able to do what we do and do it better.
So for someone who's wanting to be a little more curious, just out of curiosity, what is one little trick that you use to help stay curious and to drive that curiosity into results, I guess?
Ooh. I would say the best way that I have stayed curious over the years have been to read a variety of different books. So I read all sorts of different genres, whether they're work related or not: sci-fi, romance, fiction, nonfiction. We also even have a book club in our office. And I tell you, we just read a huge variety of stuff. And what I think is so beautiful about that is if you can create that quiet time to be reflective, to read different styles, to learn about different characters, to pick on history, all those different things. There is so much richness and magic there. And so I would say one of the ways to stay curious is to continue just to read a whole variety of good stuff. The other thing I would say is just to continue to look for the magic. It is absolutely everywhere. And sometimes the best ideas come from a walk outside or coffee with a colleague.
So you're pretty well known, Maggie, for having pretty powerful morning buzz articles, right? Ones that really get you a little bit and get you thinking. So, but I got a challenge for you. I think you should do a morning buzz about how to take a romance book and transform that into government innovation.
Oh, I will absolutely take you up on that challenge. Consider it done.
Yeah, I really want to see that. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of innovation work with a lot of people, and I'm always fascinated about where some of the best and the worst ideas come from.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is going to be fantastic. If you would like to help me co-write it, I'll give you a reading list.
All right. My wife's gonna think I went crazy if she sees me at home reading a romance book. She's like, "Wait, who are you?"
Who are you, and what have you done with my husband? Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on GovLove today, Maggie. Really appreciate it. Enjoyed our conversation. And if you could be the GovLove DJ, what song would you pick as the exit music for this episode?
So my alter ego is the princess of playlists. And so this is hard because there are so many different songs I would pick. But for this episode, I will say Molly Tuttle, Take the Journey.
All right, sounds good. Well, that ends our episode for today. Thank you, Maggie, for coming on and talking with me. Gov Love is brought to you by ELGL, and the best way to support ELGL is to support ELGL by becoming a member. You can reach us online at elgl.org/govlove or on Twitter at GovLovePodcast. Subscribe to GovLove on your favorite podcast app, and if you're already subscribed, go tell a friend or colleague about this podcast. Help us spread the word that GovLove is the go-to place for local government stories. Thanks for listening to us today. This has been GovLove, a podcast about local government. No matter where it starts or where it ends.